So, you want to hear a story, huh? One about treasure hunters. Have I got a story for you?
With that legendary introduction, courtesy of Marcus, out of the way, let's get into it. Howdy folks, and welcome back to another video. Today, well, as you can see, we are starting the Borderlands franchise. And I do mean the whole franchise. Okay, well, maybe not Tales of the Borderlands, but we'll talk about that later. I loved Borderlands 2 growing up, and considering how garbage I am at FPS on PlayStation, I thought, why not get all the achievements through Steam? Borderlands 1 officially released back in 2009, but had a Game of the Year remastered version come out much later. That is, of course, what we'll be playing here. I've also chosen to run as Roland for the majority of the achievements, though there are achievements tied to other characters. I will have to obtain these later on, but that's a not right now problem. There are a total of 80 achievements to get, which includes running all the DLC. I also highly recommend you use a guide for several of these achievements. You'll thank me later. Enough chit-chat, though. We have a game to beat and achievements to complete. So let's throw that 80 up there on the board and begin. As with any good Borderlands game, we start off with a crap weapon, no shield, and the desire and will to commit as many human rights abuses as possible. Thankfully, the Geneva Convention doesn't exist. We get to satiate that desire by arriving here in Firestone, the first location in the game. After freeing up the only resident, Dr. Zed, who absolutely does not have a medical license, but you don't have insurance, so what do you care, we start taking on missions. Our first achievement comes quickly enough, with Paid in Firestone after completing 5 quests in the arid Badlands. We make a little bit of a name for ourselves, and are then tasked with killing our very first boss, a dude called Nine Toes. To do that, we first need to head to a location called Skag Gully, which also just so happens to be the name of our next achievement, Discovered Skag Gully. Well, look, do I really need to explain it? I can, but, you know. If you know Borderlands, even in passing, you know that to use and get better weapons, you have to constantly be leveling up. Well, at level 5, not only are we awarded the newbie for reaching said level, we also get to unlock our class-specific ability. In this case, it's a turret. I also want to quickly touch on something you're probably seeing here on screen, and that is the fact that I already have 2 legendary weapons. No, I did not cheat these in, and no, they didn't drop from anything. For whatever reason, because this is the Game of the Year edition, the game just sort of spawns me with these, so I wasn't going to get rid of them because they're incredibly useful, so I just wanted to let you guys know on that front. As we shoot, destroy, assault, and maim our way through Nine Toes' lair, we finally come across the old bastard himself. This fight can be pretty frustrating at times, especially because of his 2 pets, Pinky and Digit, but just like their master, they also get a wonderful face full of lead, giving me the achievement. Wait. Seriously, there's no actual achievement for killing the first boss? Alright, I won't lie, I feel a little cheated. We make up for that sadness with one of the several miscellaneous achievements spread throughout the game, and this is the easiest one to pick up, that being the Rootinest Tootinest Shootinest, which is easily obtained by killing 5 racks, which are the weird flying insect rodent things, in 10 seconds. Super easy when you've got an automatic gun. Of course, with the death of Nine Toes and more wanton destruction, we find out that the vault is an actual real place, and we have to get the key to unlock it. So that first key part will be found on an individual named Sledge, but we are not quite there yet. Our next achievement, down in front, is also our first character-specific achievement. Now, there are 4 total, each requiring their own character, so Roland, Lilith, Brick, and Mordecai, but this one specifically unlocks with Roland after you get 15 kills with the turret. And thus, life continues on Pandora for Roland with the completion of more quests and the like. Finally, though, while we are out and about and actually completing some of those quests, we hit level 10, awarding us Novice for getting level 10. We now face our first mini-boss. Borderlands games are known for having named mini-bosses that typically drop some type of good weapon, and these weapons can typically be farmed. Now, Bonehead here drops the Bone Shredder SMG, which is a Very useful weapon that I highly encourage you always get when possible. As you are most likely aware, Borderlands is a game about guns. All sorts of gun, any gun under the sun, but many of these guns can come equipped with an elemental effect. These are electricity, fire, corrosive, and explosive. If you're wondering where slag is, you gotta wait for Borderlands 2, and if you're waiting for ice, that's Borderlands pre-sequel. Don't worry, we'll get there. For now, though, we are going basic with this achievement, 1.21 gigawatts for killing 21 enemies with a shock weapon. Something I want to bring up are the side quests. There are a lot of side quests, and several achievements require you to complete all of the quests in a certain area. Now, I did all the side quests in playthrough 1 for Borderlands 1, though I obviously won't show every quest. What I am thinking, though, is that in the subsequent Borderlands games, I'll speedrun the story until I get to the highest level playthrough, so Ultimate Vault Hunter mode in Borderlands 2, for example, before doing all the DLC and side quests, as that'll make the leveling process a little bit more enjoyable for me. Our next wonderful achievement comes in the form of manslaughter by vehicle. Get a little blood on the tires requires you to run over 25 enemies while you're in any vehicle. This is incredibly easy to do and also really satisfying. The sounds are just so exquisite. As we make our way through to finally find Sledge and put him 6 feet under so that we can take his vault key part, we do let our inner arsonist out to play. Pyro is our second elements-based achievement, and it's awarded after killing 25 enemies with a fire weapon, because it would be weird to call it Pyro if it was an explosive gun. So, before the video continues, I have a quick confession to make. The recording of Borderlands happened nearly a year ago, and I've been sitting on the footage as I tried to get 4 last trophies. Anyway, because of that, I hadn't actually figured out how to do my timestamp method, so this means that on the back end, I have to edit this video a little differently. So, all this to say, my count is wrong. I'm actually at 9 achievements, not 8, so whoopsies. Our next trophy was interesting. See, I was under the impression we had to use specific weapons with the different elemental effects to get the necessary achievement. This is only half true. What we really need to do is kill with that specific element type. So, for Master Exploder, you have to kill 25 enemies using explosive damage, which I completed using a barrel. We're now hot on the trail of Sledge proper, having found his hideout, which we will need to clear to get a key to actually go to the mine where he's hiding out. First things first, though, entering Sledge's hideout awards us the Discovering Sledge's Hideout achievement. Honestly, some of these names are great, others are questionable. Now, the hideout wasn't too terrible, but there was a repair claptrap mission that I had to do for a later achievement, so just keep that in mind if you're doing this. The only moderately difficult part with this mini-boss here, the Roid Rage Psycho, he's not actually that difficult, but much like his papa, he's just a massive bullet sponge. Also, there are a bunch of midget psychos that just keep biting at my ankles, but I was able to keep them entertained with a shiny turret. As the game progresses, you'll slowly unlock some items that help change some of your gameplay, and both of these have achievements tied to them. The first are artifacts, and the second are class mods. Now, both of these are items that are pretty standard throughout all of the Borderlands games, but the artifacts work a little differently in 1. They affect specifically how your power works. So, for the achievement, you call this archaeology, all we have to do is equip an artifact for the first time, and in my case, it was a lightning artifact, giving my turret electricity rounds. We've cleared all the prerequisites to go fight Sledge, so as we make our way to him, I actually unlock another rather strange miscellaneous achievement. This is called 12 Days of Pandora. Now, the tooltip says to get it, you have to master the technology of Pandora, which doesn't actually make much sense. So to actually achieve this trophy, you must kill 12 with an assault rifle, 11 with a pistol, 10 with a shotgun, 9 with an SMG, 8 with a sniper rifle, 7 melee kills, 6 critical hits, 5 explosive, 4 shock, 3 incendiary, 2 faces melted or a corrosive kill, and 1 grenade kill. Honestly, I was going to do this in verse, but I was not going to subject you to my singing. This doesn't have to be in any order, and realistically, you'll just get this by playing naturally. keep hyping it up, so now it's time to head to Sledge's location. That, of course, being Headstone Mine. And like many of the locations in the game, we receive a location-based achievement. That, of course, being called Discovered Headstone Mine. I won't subject you to the many minutes it took me to actually get to the arena where Sledge is waiting to pound us into pudding. But what I am going to do is blue ball you a little longer with another miscellaneous trophy, that being Fence, for selling off 50 weapons. This is how you make a lot of money in this game. Instead of the whole buy low, sell high, kill the bandits, take their weapons, sell high. Alright, enough messing around. Let me introduce you to our real first true official boss, because Nine Toes is kind of mid, Mr. Sledge. Dumber than a box of rocks and definitely bench presses more than you. Oh, and his shotgun hurts like a bitch. And when I say it hurts, I mean this tough cookie put me down again and again and again. On my last attempt, I was finally able to get some sort of rhythm going by using all the metal pillars as blockers, my turret as a distraction, and making sure I kept at least one of the minions alive in case I needed a second wind. What also would have been helpful was if I realized that the slit on his welding mask was the weak spot, so whoopsies. Anyway, after finally putting the old boy down, we received the achievement Wanted Sledge for killing Sledge. We also obtain our first vault key part, and the story can continue. For killing Sledge and turning in the mission, we are awarded with our second item I had spoken about earlier, Class Mod. These can increase your stats as well as improve your skills that you've invested points into. In a beautiful homage to Monty Python and the Holy Grail, the achievement,
There are some who call me Tim,
is awarded for equipping your first class mod. Before continuing with the story, I was aiming for a very specific achievement, and I got lucky as I got a 2 for the price of 1. Now, the main achievement I was going for was Made in Firestone, and this is the one for completing every quest in the Arid Badlands. This includes all the side quests, main quest, claptrap repairs, all that fun jazz. This is not an easy feat, but when I completed it, I also got the Expert achievement for reaching level 20. We're rolling in it now. Our story continues as we have to get out of the Arid Badlands and move on, but the way out currently is through yet another crazy individual known as Mad Mel. Though, if we're being honest, Crazy and Pandora go together like a nice cold cup of iced tea, sweet or unsweet, because we don't discriminate here, on a hot summer day. And just like that, after way too many bullets, rockets, and grenades, Mad Mel dies in the car fire of his dreams, leaving us with nothing. No achievement at all. How disappointing. This also happens to open the way to our next major hub area in New Haven, where the administrator, Helena Pierce, has closed off our continued trek forward due to a bandit lord named Baron Flint, who's causing some sort of issues out on the Salt Flats. A. Who elected you leader, Helena? I'm a bounty hunter. I do what I want. And B, that just sounds like a request for us to take out Mr. Flint, so how much you willing to pay? In the meantime, while we try to figure out how to move forward, we are given access to the Rust Commons so we can find certified deranged and wickedly intelligent scientist, Dr. Tanis. No, I don't know what her PhD is in, and no, I won't be asking.
Believes that you and I are looking for the same thing. You should come to me now so I can see the artifact you have recovered.
Now, the Rust Commons were very nice when it came to enemy type, variety, XP, and most importantly, guns. But you know what they also came with? A lot of quests. And there are a lot of quests in the Rust Commons, let me tell you. While there is an achievement for completing all of them, we should probably start just a tad bit small and obtain the Paid in New Haven achievement for completing 5 quests in the Rust Commons. Okay, now it's time that we actually go speak with Dr. Tan. But before we do that, we have yet one more achievement to grab. This one dealing with corrosive damage. Much like those that came before, we must kill 25 enemies using corrosive damage. In this case, the racks were the final target needed for this achievement. Speaking with Tanis, she reports that indeed we have found the first piece of the vault key. She then requests we try to find the second part, which should be with a dude named Crazy Earl over in the scrapyard. Now, admittedly, I forgot that comparatively, there's very little voice acting in this game, and most of the story is told through text. But in any case, we wave goodbye to Tanis as we skip along our merry way, blasting everything to bits as we make our way to Earl. Now, unlike my usual actions up until this point in the game, where I would do some quests, putz around, make some money, I instead immediately go to the scrapyard and start killing and slaughtering with absolutely no care in the world. So, for my favorable actions in continuing to lower the population of Pandora, I blow up the entrance to said scrapyard and enter, not only bringing me one step closer to the vault, but also obtaining the next achievement, Discovered the Scrapyard. Now, the scrapyard ain't the nicest place on the planet, but then again, this whole planet is basically the universe's dumping grounds, so it is what it is. But we do find old Crazy Earl acting like a Discord mod and refusing to taste fresh-ish air and touching, dirt, I guess, since, grass is nowhere to be found. He knows we want the vault key part, so he has us go commit some property damage against some bandits before he gives it to us. We do as we are requested, and using completely justifiable self-defense strategies, we selectively lower the bandit population around Earl's little house, as well as set up some rather large explosives, allowing for high ordnance explosive fun. All of that fancy talk is to say I offed a lot of bandits and blew a thing up. See, this is where Pandora's population really shines. We go through all the trouble for Earl, and then he tells us to go get him some booze before we get the little alien what's-it, as he calls it. Alright, fine. So feeling like Pandora's version of Instacart, we do, and then he tells us, lol, JK, yeah, that thing, it was stolen from me a while ago by a bandit leader named Crom. So now we gotta go kill Crom. And where would a man named Crom be? Besides the Vegas Strip, he is in a place known as Crom's Canyon, because man's got an ego. And upon reaching said glorious canyon, we are awarded with the achievement, Discovered Crom's Canyon. Crom is an interesting boss fight, as it's an uphill battle arena. While you are trying to make your way up to him, he's fighting down at you and shooting you with a Gatling gun. This really was not the easiest boss, mostly because of that uphill fight. The whole time you're heading up to him, you're being shot by minions, Gatling gun, and a tri-shot rocket blast. But, as with all bosses, they inevitably die, giving us the wanted Crom achievement, and more importantly, the second part of the vault key. Now, something that's unique to Borderlands 1 were the weapon proficiency. These are exactly what they sound like, your proficiency with different weapon types. As you use certain weapons more and more, you'll gain XP for them in the background. Each level would give you a small boost to how that weapon worked, mostly in dealing with damage, accuracy, reload speed, etc. Well, once you hit level 10 proficiency with any one weapon type, you'll receive the Weapon Aficionado achievement. Our next achievement is a level-based one, and we'll get to that here in a moment, but I wanted to talk about the mission that will inevitably get us that achievement. We are required to kill a psycho midget known as King Wee Wee. And before you ask if he has any story or plot relevance, no, he does not. I just really wanted to say the words wee wee in my video because I am incredibly immature sometimes. Anyway, kill the Wee Wee King, turn in the quest, and we receive the achievement, Hardcore, for reaching level 30. Our adventure continues as we find ourselves in Old Haven. This is where New Haven used to be, but now it's abandoned. Thus, Old Haven. We're really here because Helena Pierce asked us very kindly to check it out, but more importantly, we also run into our very last enemy faction, the Crimson Lance. Their commander, Commandant Steele, has spoken to us a few times, but she has some type of plot relevance later on, and we'll get to that. What's more important, though, is that while we are poking around the ruins of Old Haven killing the Lance, we get our next achievement, Pandora Dog Millionaire, for earning 1 million Pandora dollars. Alright, actually, what is the currency called? Oh, it's literally just called money. Alright, that's kind of boring, but okay. So here's the thing. Borderlands 1 actually an incredibly short game. I'd say we're about 3/4 the way done with the whole main story, but between the main story bops, I've been grinding out these side quests for levels and, more importantly, a very annoying completionist trophy. But we aren't quite there yet. We are, however, in the next part of the story, trying to get the third section of the vault key. It happens to be protected by a monstrous rack hive out in the Trash Coast, so we gotta head our butts up there. After speaking with a rather rebellious claptrap, he opens the gate for us, and upon entering, we are awarded with the Discovering Trash Coast achievement.
Prepare yourself. You have come very far in your journey, but it is not yet over, and it is not yet time to rest. Much depends on your actions moving forward. This last challenge will be your greatest.
That next piece of the vault key puzzle is found on a rather large animal known as a rack hive. Admittedly, this fight was more of a pain than I originally thought it would be, and it's not because the hive itself was difficult, but because the actual racks that kept spawning kept sweeping down and attacking me, and it was a pain in my butt. In my ultimate gamer knowledge, though, I was able to recognize the large eyes as the spot to shoot, so at least I wasn't totally incompetent. Anyways, with the death of this beast, not only are we awarded the Destroyed the Hive achievement, we also get the third piece of the vault key. The remaining piece lies with Baron Flint, that bastard on the salt flats that we still have to deal with. It's now actually time to go and deal with Flint and get that last piece of the vault key. And with that, we are now officially allowed into the salt flats. And no, for whatever reason, there isn't an achievement to go with that. And that just, that's just a little disappointing. Now, you see, Mr. Baron Flint ain't just any boss. No, he is a certified gentleman. So, that means you gotta earn his desire to put a bullet through your head. Anyway, this is relatively easy. Just cause a bunch of mayhem and kill a bunch of his patrols. Afterwards, you'll just fight your way through a horde of minions at the bottom of his giant machine, and then you'll go up in an elevator where you'll see him sitting in a chair ready to kill you. You gotta kill him first, though. This fight can be pretty chaotic if you aren't paying attention to your surroundings, and lucky me, I'm not very attentive. And I'm also a terrible shot, though I am going to blame the inherent terrible accuracy of BL1 guns for that, and not my skill, because why take responsibility for my own actions? That's silly. There are quite a few normal enemies, and then Hans and Franz, two sort of mini-bosses that hit like a truck. Looking back at this footage, I really have no idea how I killed Hans and got that second win, but I'm not going to really complain about it. Also, in case you're curious, no, you're not hearing it improperly. For whatever reason, the game audio, when it came to Baron Flint speaking, is incredibly low. There were several audio issues throughout the entire time playing this game. Meanwhile, the whole time we're fighting everything else, Flint is shooting many bullets at us. And finally, I was able to coax him downstairs, where my turret made quick work of him while I sat and watched, because... Did you see those shots? Oh god, they were so bad. Anyway, with his death, we obtained the trophy Wanted Flint and the fourth piece of the vault key. Except that's not the case. There is no fourth part. Tannis lied to us. Yay. And now Commandant Steele is letting us know that actually Tannis has joined the Lance and given them all three of the pieces we had given to her for safekeeping. So that's just fucking rude. So at this point, the Lance had actually been pretty quiet and not really like the main threat. They were just sort of there in the background. Well, that all changes now as they have become the main threat and have shut down pretty much all of Pandora and are actively seeking our heads. So, time to crack our knuckles and wipe out an entire platoon of heavily trained soldiers. So while, yes, we were given the option to leave, we won't, because they took our stuff and are now trying to open the vault that was rightfully mine. Anyway, we found our way to the entrance location of a much larger enclave, which we'll get to later. But first, we have another achievement. I'd been working on this one in the background, that being fully loaded. Throughout the game, you're going to come across claptraps in need of repair strewn throughout the map. Each time you complete one of these missions, you're awarded with more inventory space. Get the godly number of 42, and you'll unlock the fully loaded achievement. we still had to actually find Tanis, most likely to kill her, but maybe she was kidnapped, who knows. What I do know is there are a lot of Lance members in my way just asking for a taste of these guns, and thus, being the altruistic man that I am, I assist in their desires. So we find Tanis, and it appears that she wasn't so much as malicious as she was curious regarding the key, thus her intent to help the Lance. Why? I'm still not sure, especially when, we were the ones that were getting all the key pieces, but whatever. I'm just glad I didn't have to kill her, because Tanis is pretty cool, betrayal or otherwise. More importantly, though, with the completion of this mission, I received the Made in New Haven achievement for completing all missions in the Rust Commons. This requires all missions in New Haven, the Trash Coast, Earl's Scrapyard, Rust Commons, and all of the Claptrap rescues. So, this is a lot. So, now Tanis is saved, but the Echo Network is still down, and we have to deal with Steele, who's taken the Vault Key. Usually, my desire would be the Vault Key first, Echo Network later, but we need the Echo Network so that we can talk with the Angel who's been guiding us. So, fine. It's time to head to the main base of operations for the Lance, and upon entering, we get a nice achievement called, you guessed it, Discovered Crimson Lance Enclave. So the Enclave introduces the last enemy type. I think I actually said that about the Lance earlier, but I'll be honest, I completely forgot about the Iridians. So yeah, the last enemy type are the Iridians. These are the alien race beings, I don't know, who created the vaults, and seeing as how they attack both you and the Lance, they want absolutely nobody opening their vaults. Bunch of greedy Scrooge McDucks, if you ask me. We are nearly at the end of the main storyline, folks. Once you finish with the Enclave and turn on the Echo Network, you will then head to another location known as the Descent. This is just a large sort of battle after battle area fighting the Lance and the Iridians. It's actually pretty fun pitting the two sides against each other only to kill the stragglers. Really get your blood pumping, But once you've finished that slaughterfest, it's the last climb to the vault, and this time you gotta go through the Iridian Promontory, which, according to Wikipedia, is a raised mass of land that projects into a lowland or a body of water, which I just think is pretty neat. Anyways, once we actually enter through said promontory, we receive the Discovered Iridian Promontory achievement. The promontory is a massive uphill fight, going up against all manner of Lancers and Iridians. It's also the last level in the game, so make sure you come equipped to handle anything that gets thrown at you. Highly recommend having some form of shock weapon, it'll really help. Finally, we reach the vault, where we're just a bit too late. Steele is going to insert the key before she notices a major hole in her plan.
I warned you time and again, yet you persist on ignoring my orders. The contents of the vault are rightfully the property of the Atlas Corporation. But you, you belong to me. Sergeant, get your team ready to go inside.
Don't give up.
Yeah, I'm not even sorry for that god-awful pun. If I had to think it, you had to hear it. We're here at the Destroyer fight, though, the final boss in the game, and honestly, it's not even that difficult. Yeah, I get hit a few times and almost go down a couple, but really just shoot its eye, any other shiny bits, and stay out of the way of its mega laser. It doesn't move, so it really is kind of a letdown for a final boss. Once you finally put it down, though, you'll be awarded with not only a bunch of loot, but the achievement Destroyed the Destroyer.
You opened
And
the
thus,
vault.
the game ends with
I'm sorry,
Angel
I
giving
couldn't
us
warn
a
you
nice
about
little
what was in
speech
it.
and hinting
But
at
for you to be
Borderlands
there
2.
to stop it, it couldn't have unfolded any other way. You did well, and your actions haven't gone unrewarded. The key won't open the vault for another 200 years, but I'm sure Tanis will pay you quite the fortune for it. Now go. I'll I'll be watching.
While we are then given a sneak peek at the intergalactic ninja assassin Claptrap, which will lead us into the Claptrap Revolution DLC. With that, as you watch me get absolutely garbage loot from the vault, we are far from over, my dear viewer. We are only at 35 achievements, and we still have 4 DLCs to cover, multiplayer achievements, and a couple other random miscellaneous achievements remaining. So, strap in. It's now time for our first DLC. That's right, folks. Spooky season might be over, but the zombies are still here to play with the zombie island of Dr. Ned, who, as Marcus puts it,
Who is totally not Dr. Zed from the last story, though.
we must now find out what is actually going on the island and see if we can lend a hand and make an extra buck. More importantly, though, we have achievements to get. The first thing we do is head down to Jacob's Cove, where we set up turrets to protect our main base of operation. This is where a majority of the quests will come in from. An important note is that unlike in the main game, the DLC does not actually require the completion of every quest, and there are only 5 achievements total, with 4 being story related. I'll talk about the non-story related one in a little bit when we actually get there. So, with Jacob's Cove now sort of protected, we go leave the tender and warm embrace of overheating turrets and go into the scary zombie-infested world and actually try to find Dr. Ned. Well, turns out the doc ain't home and he's actually at a whole other location further into the island. So, fine, let's go find the doctor then. So we finally find Ned in his new place of research, where he lets us know that, don't worry, he's gonna let us up, but, oh darn it, the elevator just ain't working, so he's gonna have to use a hand crank. How very disappointing. But hey, at least it's about to turn into a massive XP farm since we gotta fight to hold our ground for a little while.
Well, if I can get this thing down there to you, there's a good chance you'll make it out alive.
Oh my gosh, Ned, just hurry it up, please. Ned finally gets the elevator, down to us and brings the lift up so we can meet him up top in his treehouse, where, upon entering, he is surprisingly candid about his involvement with the zombies.
I probably went about this all the wrong way. I'm a doctor. I make people better. I just wanted everyone to be okay. I made the zombies. I was never as good as my totally not made up brother Zed, and we're totally different people. I need a drink.
So now I guess we're going to help Ned fix his zombie mistake. And for our efforts, the first achievement of the DLC pops, House of Ned, for completing the mission of the same name. Ned then let us know our next steps are heading to a hospital to pick up some type of antidote that should hopefully help, and that it was based off Skag DNA. This feels like a man-bat situation incoming.
I based it on Skag DNA since they don't seem to have undead tendencies. Get the sample and bring it to my claptrap in town.
Alright, let's actually quickly talk about the non-story mission achievement in the Ned's DLC, Brains. This requires you to have completed a specific task for undead TK Baja. He asks you to collect brains from zombies. You obtain these brains by killing a zombie and shooting it in the head, specifically killing it by shooting it in the head. The brains don't count for a score until you accept the quest, and here's the thing. There are 5 brain quests in total, going from 10 brains in the beginning, 25 in the second mission, 50 in the third, 100 in the fourth, and finally 250 for the last. That's a total of 435 brains, assuming I can use a calculator correctly. So I'll be doing this in the background as we go through the DLC. Just keep that in mind. So we make it to the hospital after much zombie killing and side questing. And as we enter the grounds proper, what appears? But aware, Skag. See, I told you it was going to turn into a man-bat thing. All right, well, time to put it down. And I put it down with pretty relative ease, actually. I'm most likely a little too overpowered at this point and probably should have just started playthrough 2, but I had full intentions of beating all the DLC first. How wrong I was about that assumption. Anyways, we then find the antidote, pick it up, and start our journey on back. We head back to the claptrap as per the request of Ned and find the claptrap tied up. It then becomes hacked and some other voice starts speaking through it, claiming we know not who Ned is, which, I mean, yeah, that tracks. He made zombies.
And he's about as trustworthy as my dog I put down for being untrustworthy. Whoa! Whoa! Ooh, where'd that come from? Gotcha! Who boy? Hey, whoa! Just kidding around here. Just kidding around. Feel free to forget everything I just... This is all true, but don't take my word for it. Look for yourself. Take the boat tied to the pier to the lab on the other side. You'll find a door in the town that will require a special knock. I love special knocks. Wow! I'm possessed. The knock sounds like this. Now go and leave this robot for the skags.
So you know what? That's exactly what I did. Let's go take a boat to a creepy place told to me by someone I don't know through a hacked claptrap. That seems safe, probably. Well, that probably turned into a no, because as we leave the docking station, we come face to face with an apocalyptic nightmare. Don't worry that it vaguely resembles Old Haven. That doesn't matter. So we waddle, wade, and wander through gore, viscera, and blood as we make our way to the secret lab we were pointed to. And once inside, oh boy, are we given some of the best level of exposition from Sir Dr. Ned himself.
It's gonna be hard to say. So, one of my reanimated corpses sorta ate Bill today. And by sorta, I mean he's now crapping his bones in the yard. The good news is he's already paid me rent, and I don't have to listen to him bitch about toenail clippings that totally weren't even mine, not to mention the popcorn shenanigans. Consider this my solemn promise to begin attempting evil for the sake of profit from this point on. My brother, who isn't even the same as me in disguise, would never support me in this. I hope no one ever finds these logs and incriminates me to my employer, Jacobs, because that would probably set off a whole chain of events where I have to try and kill them with my horrific creations. Oh well.
Seems to the shock and surprise of absolutely nobody, Dr. Ned is actually
Evil!
So now, after grabbing all of his notes and the like, we head up to a special communication tower to send all that information off to the Jacobs Corporation. And so that's exactly what we do. It takes the machine a hot second to actually send everything, and we have to fend off a couple of zombies. But upon completion, we are then graciously awarded the Jacobs Fodder Achievement for completing the mission of the same name. We are then informed that due to us receiving payment for a job well done, we are now contractually bound to the Jacobs Corporation on punishment of death for leaving. Honestly, look, in today's job market, the fact that I got a job for uploading what was basically Pandora's version of an MP3 file, I'm gonna take it. We are then told to return to Jacob's Cove for our next instructions, most likely having to do with the company-sanctioned extradition of Ned's life. We arrive back at Jacob's Cove to watch some claptrap on claptrap violence, and we are correct. We have now been tasked with the death of Ned as per our contractual agreement with Jacobs on pain of our own death. So, I'ma go do that. But first, we have a more important assignment, getting that miscellaneous trophy for finishing all the Brains quests. Upon turning it in, we receive the beautiful achievement, Brains. I probably missed a few A's there. It's now finally time to face Ned. The way to him is literally just him mildly taunting you, and you fighting a bunch of zombies and were-skags, so it's nothing you haven't already seen. Plus, you're here for the achievements, so let's get to those. The Ned fight is stupid easy. He does hardly any damage and is pretty easy to put down. Doing so gets us the Night of the Living Ned trophy for killing him, and rolling credits, sorta. Yeah, that fight was way too easy. We got round 2 from that horrible monstrosity you just saw. And so like any good adventurer, we jump right into the big gaping hole into what can only appear to be like the 7th circle of hell. And if that reference doesn't make sense, go read Dante's Inferno. Anyways, so we go to kill Undead Ned, who is different from Alive Ned. I'm not really sure how there was that difference, but hey, you know what? One's undead, one's alive, it is what it is. Now, I imagine there was supposed to be music playing during this fight, but as I said, I've been getting weird audio glitches throughout my entire playthrough, so no music. Anyway, with Undead Ned now being Dead Ned, good lord, we receive 2 achievements, the first being Sleepless for hitting level 40, and Ned's Undead baby, Ned's Undead for killing Ned again. With the Ned DLC completely finished, let's turn our attention to why this game took me a literal year to complete. Let me introduce you to our second DLC, Mad Moxie's Arena. This is a fairly standard wave-based shooter with 2 types of events, the smaller events and the larger ones. To reach the larger events, you must complete all 3 of the smaller events in the smaller arenas. It goes like this. In the small events, there are 5 rounds each with 5 waves for a total of 25 waves, with all 3 events totaling 75 waves. This is not terrible, and it's actually manageable solo. This is where it gets challenging. The larger events are 20 rounds each with 5 waves, totaling 100 waves in each event, with 300 waves total. Each total event can last upwards of an hour or even 2, and this is just not manageable solo due to how the enemy scaling works. So what you have to do is find a friend who's low level and have them invite you into their game, and then have them host the large Coliseum event. The enemies will scale to the lower level player, and you, as the higher level player with stronger guns, can go absolutely ham. Issue is, it still can take upwards of an hour to an hour and a half. And that's a good chunk of time, and I don't blame any of my friends for not necessarily wanting to help with this, because since it's scaled to them, they're getting absolutely smacked. Thankfully, I had 2 fantastic guys, Second Ace and Muffins, who were able to finally in the end help me out, but more on that later. Let's just say it took me a long time to finally be able to find time when we could all just sort of work together. But enough of that. I just wanted to introduce you to this DLC so that it's there, it's in the back of your mind. So now let's put it to the side and move on to the Claptrap Rovolution. But first, another miscellaneous trophy before we actually deal with any robots. This next one is fairly easy, and I recommend going to Firestone and finding the weakest skag pup you can find. And just keep jumping on its head to kill it. Once you do, you'll be rewarded with the My Brother is an Italian Plumber achievement. So let's talk about the Claptrap DLC. Going through all the story beats is pretty simple. Hyperion made a Claptrap super smart. It realized how subjugated Claptraps were and has now created an entire army of Claptraps to take over Pandora and liberate all the Claptraps. The DLC takes heavy inspiration from Che Guevara, as well as several other revolutions, and if you're a student of history, some of the references can actually be pretty amusing. That being the case, though, there are 10 achievements in the DLC, with 4 being story-related, all of which are at the end, and the other 6 being collectibles. Oh boy, were these a pain. Every Claptrap you kill has a chance to drop one of a few random items, including a bobblehead, panties, pizza, oil cans, and a few others. Some of these are rarer drops than others, but as we go through the achievements, I'll explain in slightly more detail. So, my first recording session for this DLC was mostly just running through the main parts of the story. There's really not much here to highlight. It's pretty standard, go here, kill thing, get X, commit atrocities. But I did decide at some point to take a break from the Rovolution and acquire a slightly different achievement. Yes, we're back in my least favorite part of the games, Moxie's Underdome, because we gotta get our first achievement out of the way. Now, unlike the larger events where you get an achievement each time you complete it, the achievement Small Tournament is awarded only after you complete all 3 of the smaller events and turn in the requisite quest. Alright, so back to the Rovolution. Up until this point, you've been helping Hyperion create a device that will revert the coding and or outright kill the interplanetary ninja assassin Claptrap. Hyperion really doesn't care which occurs. I mean, like, do you? So anyways, we make our way to the main base, where we're about to get 5 achievements in pretty short succession. To actually get to the big honcho himself, though, you gotta go through 3 mini-bosses that have all been resurrected and mind-controlled. The first is General Nox Trap. Now, General Nox is from another DLC that I just haven't touched yet, so... whoops. Kinda destroying the timeline here a little bit. It's important to note, though, that you'll actually fight all 3 of these mini-bosses once before, but the achievements won't pop until you kill them the second time. So, for killing old Nox Trap, you are awarded the Nox Trap achievement. The next achievement I only got because I knew I needed to be on the lookout for these. Tourist is awarded for finding and interacting with all 6 Claptrap statues. The locations are as followed: the Hyperion Dump, Sanders Gorge, the Dividing Faults, the Scorched Snake Canyon, Tartarus Station, and finally the one here in Wayward Pass. There's no way to know how many you've already found, so make sure you keep a list and use a guide. Our next mini-boss is Undead Ned Trap from Ned's DLC. This fight works exactly the same as it did in the Ned's DLC, though he hits a little harder, but his movesets are the exact same. He also has a much easier critical spot with the big Claptrap control unit on his head. Kill him, and you're now 2 for 3 on mini-bosses, and you will be awarded the Ned's Trap achievement. And finally, we have our last mini-boss, Commandant Steel Trap. You should know who she is at this point, though you never did fight her in the game. Her moveset's pretty annoying as she launches herself at you, and I just have a bad tendency to face tank most damage. That being the case, though, nothing a little extra health and turret can't solve. Once she's dead, you're awarded the Steel Trap achievement, and now you must go fight the big ol' Claptrap himself.
If it took more than 1 shot, you weren't using Jacobs.
You know, I wasn't programmed for direct combat. I also wasn't programmed to overuse air quotes. But obviously, I've grown beyond my programming, beyond my enslavement, and beyond my patience for your kind. Prepare to face the fury of mega interplanetary ninja assassin Claptrap!
And thus the final boss commences with Minac, and get ready to see a lot of this boss, cause you're gonna want to farm him for collectibles. For now though, you should know this is a 2-part fight. The first is against Minac, this big hunky machine who spits out claptraps, bombs, and lasers. The only way to actually deal damage to it is by attacking its big red eye when it's not shielded. Once you actually defeat Minac, then you get to put the kibosh on Inac. Inac is not a difficult fight at all. Really, it's just meant to make you feel good about putting him down. He'll charge you and deal a little damage, but in reality, all you gotta do is stay out of his range and put a few bullets in him, and you'll be golden. With the defeat of Inac, we are not only done with the main DLC story, but are awarded the Muerte la Revolucion achievement.
You'll never take your life!
But, my dear viewers and comrades, we are far from complete. See, we still have some collectible grinding to do. Remember how I said claptraps drop random items? Well, you better start praying to RN Jesus, because baby, it's randomization time. Also, this location where I am currently farming is not ideal. Do not make the same mistake I did. I kept reloading the area and it just wasn't working. Until it sort of did for a little while, because I got lucky and I obtained the achievement It's So Realistic for finding 5 pairs of 3D glasses. Our next achievement is sort of in line with the Brains achievement from the Ned's DLC. We have to do multiple of the same quest, getting progressively more of the same item for Tanis. In this case, it's claptrap parts. As you can see, I'm back at Minac, just farming the claptraps that he'll constantly spawn. This is an endless farm, so as long as you have a little patience and don't actually kill Minac, in the end you'll get everything you need. Once the last mission is completed, we return to Tanis and are awarded with the Collector achievement. Our next collectible are the oil cans. There's no particular reason why I got these achievements in the order I did, it's just what dropped personally for me. Lubricator is obtained once you collect 25 oil cans total. Note, there is no actual in-game counter, so I recommend you have your own so you don't lose your sanity. Like I did. Next up is What a Party, and this is obtained after collecting 3 panties, 5 fish in a bag, and 15 pizzas. Again, this is fairly easy, just keep farming Minac. And our last achievement for the Claptrap DLC is Bobble Trap, and this is awarded for collecting 15 bobbleheads. We are now officially done with the Claptrap DLC, and we'll continue on into our 4th and final DLC, Fort Knox. Welcome to the General Knox DLC, probably the coolest of the 4 because it has Athena in it, who's just badass as hell and also later becomes a playable character in pre-sequel. Though, as of right now, that's not really the point. The General Knox DLC is probably the best when it comes to farming weapons because the end treasure room is just chock filled with weapons chests. But that's not the point either. Much like the Claptrap DLC, we're going to go through any important bits, but you're really here for the achievements, so that's the most important part. Speaking of, let's actually talk achievements. There are 9 tied to this DLC, not counting the leveling ones, but I'll be getting them over 2 playthroughs. The reason for this is specifically Cromarax the Invincible. This massive behemoth of a boss is the end raid boss for Borderlands, and it is necessary for the acquisition of the Completionist achievement, which requires you to finish every quest, side and otherwise, in the DLC. Cromarax is hard and should be done at max level with max level guns if you're going to even attempt it solo. But with that, let's get right on into the DLC and into our first achievement. We start off in T-Bone Junction, actually looking for Athena, who at this point has been captured by a bandit warlord known as Mr. Shanks, but we don't technically know that yet, so shh. To get to her, we have to get ourselves a new ride to be able to drive the highways of this magical place, and to do that we're going to need help from Scooter, who has a design in mind. To create it though, we have to, what some might call steal, I call the reappropriation of supplies. We gotta take some mechanical bits from other cars, alright? We gotta just yoink some stuff. Doing so, and then assisting Scooter in putting the pieces on the car and uploading it into the Digistruct machine awards us the Making a Monster achievement. It's now time to hit the open road, but not in our new fancy monster. No, we're in a new vehicle that comes from this DLC, the Racer. This vehicle is hard to control but fast as hell, and it has an achievement tied to it. You gotta destroy a Lancer vehicle with your Racer, and the achievement Speed Kills will pop. The Lancers are the big brick-looking cars on the highway, in case you were curious. Okay, enough goofing around. It's time to actually find and save Athena. As mentioned before, she's got a bounty on her head for deserting the Atlas Corporation, and the bandit warlord Mr. Shanks, also apparently an ex-husband of Mad Moxie, has captured her looking to cash in on that reward. She was able to get a message off to us about bringing her personal teleporter device and helping her escape from the prison. Being the kind and good Samaritan that I am, I blast my way through the base till I come across Athena, just sort of vibing in a cell, until she decides to snap her guard's neck.
Your rescue is most agreeable. Thank you. But to be honest, mostly they just wanted to do my nails and talk about boys all the time. I almost sort of liked it here. They were like the sisters I never had because Atlas duped me into killing them. Wow. That got heavy, didn't it? Never mind. I don't have time to explain everything right now. I need the teleporter straight away. Just give me the PTD.
When we give her the teleporter device, we also receive the achievement Athena Out for saving her. We are one step closer to the armory. Yes.
Sorry, this thing only has enough juice.
After saving Athena and doing a bit more prep work, including killing some more high-powered Lance commanders, it's now finally time to take on the armory itself. We battle our way through until we hit the final boss, General Knox. I want to be super honest with you guys. I love General Knox. He is a hilariously sane character in an otherwise insane world, and really, at this point, he's just ready to die. But If that doesn't make sense or you don't know what I mean, enjoy his cutscene.
Well, that's just inappropriate timing. I got tired of waiting and was hoping to be dead before you got here. I can't stand this place. Make you a deal. If you best me in this fight, which seems likely, maybe you could just blow the planet up entirely. Kill all of them. That's the fairest thing to do.
The Nox fight can be pretty difficult if you aren't paying attention to the other enemies on the field, and, as stated before, I am not very attentive. So this bastard gets healed almost to full multiple times by the medics because I just either don't see them or don't kill them in time. It's wonderful. This was incredibly frustrating, but like the old American adage goes, intruders will be shot, survivors will be shot again. We just gotta keep pelting him with lead until he finally goes down, and the armory is ours for the taking. You get 3 minutes in the armory to loot as much as you feasibly can, and because of that, I kinda wish the chest opened a bit quicker because of that restricted timetable. But there is also a chance to land some absolutely incredible loot. Sadly, I was also incredibly unlucky and really didn't come away with much. Upon the timer hitting 0, you'll be teleported out of the armory, it will go boom, and the credits will run. After the credits, the achievement Depot Destruction will pop, signaling the end of the DLC's main story. Still sticking within General Nox's DLC, we have one more achievement to obtain before we start playthrough 2 and officially begin the cleanup portion of this video. That achievement is Sneaky Little Buggers, which requires you to kill all 5 of the loot midgets in the area. Those midgets are Mini Steve, which is found inside a red chest in the Deep Fathoms, Meat Popsicle, found in the Sunken Sea, Truxican Wrestler, found in Lockdown Palace, Dumpster Diver, found in a dumpster after killing Motorhead, and Crimson Shorty, found before the Crimson Armory in a Crimson Lance chest. I'd recommend, of course, having a more specific guide or map up and keeping track of a list of those whom you've already killed, as there's no in-game way to track this. Alright folks, it's now time to start playthrough 2. If this is your first foray into Borderlands, basically consider this New Game Plus. Later Borderlands games, such as Borderlands 2 for example, has the normal Vault Hunter mode, True Vault Hunter mode, and then Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. It just gets progressively harder, the loot gets better, and so on and so forth. In this case though, for Borderlands 1, you've only got playthrough 1 and 2. This will require me to go through all the DLC again. Most specifically, I'll have to go through General Nox's DLC again for Completionist, which is why, in part, I think for future Borderlands games, I'm actually going to save all the DLC content till the last playthrough. We have a bunch of miscellaneous trophies to pick up, a couple multiplayer, and we still have to finish Moxxi's Underdome. So, strap in folks, we're in the home stretch. Our first miscellaneous trophy is for Speedy McSpeederton, and it's acquired after getting a record time around the Ludicrous Speedway. The Speedway is located at the bottom left of the Doll Headlands, and you need to run the Speedway in less than 31 seconds. This is incredibly achievable. There is no quest that takes you to the Speedway, so you'll have to find it on your own, just as a quick heads up, so don't expect a quest to like, hey, here's the Speedway. You're on a Boat is another weird miscellaneous achievement that has no tracker nor any marker. You'll need to go to a very specific boat in Treacher's Landing, and if I'm being honest, I had to use a guide and map to find this location due to how pretty well hidden it is. But all you need to do is hop onto the boat once you get to it, and the achievement will pop. We get our next leveling achievement, Champion, for hitting level 50. This was the old cap in Borderlands, but with the DLCs, the new level cap is 69. Nice. And speaking of leveling, we get our first over level 50 achievement with over leveled for hitting level 51. Back in the General Knox DLC, we have yet another weird miscellaneous trophy. Admittedly, I could have just done this one in the first playthrough, but oh well, it's a requirement for completionists, so might as well just do it now. A sucker born every minute is for taking the tour of the world's largest bullet, and man, it was an absolute scam. Hey, it's time for our first multiplayer trophies, and this is a 2-for-1 deal. Thanks again to Second Ace for helping out with this one. In a multiplayer game, you can duel a player by meleeing your partner and them meleeing you back. It then turns into a very quick PvP match. Duelicious is for winning a duel, with Duelinator being rewarded for not taking a hit during a duel. Sadly, Ace was pretty underleveled, so all it took was one shot. Throughout the game, there are these random coliseums that you can find and fight in to test your strength against other players. Think of this as a more upscaled version of a duel. Well, assuming you win the arena fight, you will receive the achievement Can't We Get Beyond the Thunderdome, and thank you again to Second Ace for basically being my meat shield for this. It's not all me beating up my friends though. The achievement Group LF Healer is awarded when you revive one of your buddies who's down. As you can see, we are currently working on getting Ace access to the larger Underdome events. And speaking of those larger Underdome events, again, thanks to Ace for being the low-level character while I cleaned house, we were able to finish the first of the large events in the Underdome in the Gully. And for our victory, we received the beautiful achievement, The Gully. We then kept up the pace with completing the larger Helburbia event, giving us the achievement of the same name. Sadly, this is where that year-long hiatus kicked in. We both had to leave, and then we were just never able to schedule a time for when we could sit down and finish the Iridian Ruins because, real life got in the way. I honestly thought that this getting all the achievements was dead in the water at this point, but I kept pushing just in case. Say what you will, but at this point I'd beaten the game twice over, and the leveling grind was killing me. As well as, Cromorax had already sent me back to my death more times than I care to admit, so I turned towards some leveling exploitation. There's a leveling exploit you can use in the challenge log using the specific challenge, Merchant of Death. Upon completion, it gives 20,000 XP. Well, there's a way to abuse this by, and it's been a while, so I'm a little rusty on the specifics, where you need to make sure you're at 1,199 items sold. You then go to any merchant thing, sell one item, and then buy the item back without leaving the vending machine, then leave the game before it, sort of auto-saves. Again, I'm a little rusty on the exact specifics, but I'm going to leave a video by JoltsDude139 in the description below in case you want to try it for yourself. Needless to say, I did this till I hit level 61, getting the over-leveled to 11 achievement, and, that's for actually getting to level 61, and then I continue this until I get to level 69, though there was no achievement for doing such. Alrighty, I'm level 69, I've grinded for a bunch of useful guns, it's now time to actually take down Cromorax the Invincible. As I said before, Cromorax is the massive end-grade boss of the game, the final boss, so to speak. The fight itself is interesting. Cromorax has multiple purple clusters on different parts of its body that are the only places you can deal damage. All the while, he's throwing stuff at you, lasers and the like, and his little minions are also always coming for you. Cromorax will also always be a higher level than you, which is why being the highest level with the best possible guns gives you the best fighting chance. Up until this point, I had been getting my butt absolutely just handed to me, in part because Roland is, not the best choice for soloing Cromorax. That's actually Lilith. Now, there are so many ways to exploit this bad boy, and you can find video after video, thread after thread, on all the different ways, but I'll be honest, the alleged exploit rock that everyone says you gotta go behind was either patched in the Game of the Year edition, or I was just incompetent. Both are possibilities. But here's the thing. Where there's one exploit, there's another. And I randomly came across this spot here where I could deal about 95% of the damage I needed to without really getting hit, and then I would jump out of the hole and deal the last amount of damage to kill Cromorax. Doing so gives me the Vincible achievement for killing Cromarax, and in just this little rant here, I got no pearlescent weapons. Like, come on, that's just... I feel cheated. Anyway, I got my achievement. With the death of Cromarax and finally having completed every quest in the General Knox DLC, I was able to obtain the Completionist achievement. Again, you literally cannot get this achievement if you do not defeat Cromarax. I now had to actually play as some of the other characters to get their specific trophies. The first being truly outrageous for getting a kill with the Siren's ability. Also, at this point, the achievements were appearing in the top right corner of the screen. I have no idea why that is. The internet said it was due to a Steam overlay feature thing, but I couldn't figure out how to fix it. This next achievement, I was somehow able to get MaxDaMiner and Second Ace, but all of us had like 5 minutes, so the fact that we were able to get it done is pretty impressive. And They'll Tell 2 Friends is awarded when you have a game with at least 2 other people in your game, so 3 total because, you know, math. Next up, we have Sledge's ability and his subsequent achievement, Reckless Abandon, for killing a total of 15 enemies with his punching ability. And finally, we have Mordecai's skill with Bloodwing and subsequent achievement, Careful He Bites, for killing 15 enemies with Bloodwing. Folks, we are so close near the end now. A years-long project, mostly due to scheduling issues, is about to be completed, and you can't know how excited I finally am. Finally to be done. Literally, I have just under 800 gigabytes of footage for just Borderlands 1. So, let's wrap this up with a nice little bow. Muffins came in clutch and saved the day and worked with me to get the very last large event in the Iridian Ruins complete. With its completion, not only do we get the Iridian Ruins achievement, but I also obtain the highly coveted Big Tournament achievement. Jesus H. Christ on a cracker, I am so glad I will never see the stupid Underdome again. Ah! Muffins and I then decided to get the last 2 achievements, and we switched things up. This time, he's the overpowered one, and I'm the squishy ball that must be protected. Our penultimate achievement, There Is No I in Team, is for completing 15 missions in co-op. Now, they don't actually have to be done in one session, which is fantastic when you have annoying scheduling issues. And finally, the very last achievement needed in Borderlands 1, United We Stand, is awarded while in co-op you defeat the Rakai Vault boss Sledge, Crom, or Flint. You don't have to kill all of them, you just gotta kill one. And thank you so much to Muffins for doing this for me. And with that, it is complete. Borderlands 1 is finally and officially finished. Again, a massive shout out to Second Ace, Muffins, and MaxDaMiner for helping me out with this. There are truly no words to describe how incredibly glad I am to finally be done with this video. It was a challenge to produce, both from the achievement getting side and the actual editing, as again, this was before I had my whole timestamp thing figured out. So it took a while. I genuinely hope you enjoyed this video though, and stay tuned as always for more. There are several games on the horizon, but for now, I'm just gonna go lay down and nap. If you enjoyed this, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what other games you might be interested in seeing. I'm debating about potentially tormenting myself with the Elden Ring Platinum at 1,000 subs, and if you know anything about me, you know I am god-awful at Souls games, so we'll see. Thank you all, and have a great rest of your day. Peace.